All right. Hello. How's it going? It's 12:02. Let's go ahead and jump in. Um, my name is James Spiller. I'm gonna stand up since it's being recorded. This should be entertaining. So my name is James Spiller. I'm the program director for the Master of Real Estate Development program, a fairly recent program at the university. The program launched, I believe, in 2018 was its first class that began, and 2019 was when it first began. 2018 was planning. So the first graduating class was last spring. This spring will be our second graduating class. So we're a fairly young program in terms of the institution at Iowa State. Is a program that is sponsored by both the College of Business, Ivy College of Business, and the College of Design. So that's where the program is housed. The College of Engineering also participates by providing coursework. So the coursework is pooled from 3 different colleges. It's a very unique setup. There are not a lot of programs on campus that share so many resources, so that's really exciting. It's one of the things that makes our program particularly unique. More broadly, the Master of Real Estate Development degree is fairly new in the educational world. Real estate has always been around as long as transactions could be made and people could work the land. So we could go all the way back to the beginning of agriculture, if you will. So real estate is not new, but the study of real estate is fairly new in kind of the world of education. The reason that's important is most of the time, the study of real estate has been in the world of finance, or really more, I think, kind of in broader, has been in the world of planning. Those are kind of the two areas where education has really encountered real estate. Design is one of the things that transforms real estate. So if you think about what is real estate development, just broadly speaking, it's to take some place to transform it to its highest and best use. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that phrase, but that phrase generally indicates, can that property do the most for society, kind of at large? Can it do the most financially for the people involved? And can it kind of, I'm going to say, generate the most positivity for that place? Does that make some sense? So essentially real estate development is that action. It's about taking a place, a physical place, whether there's nothing there or whether there's something there, and shifting it to be more profitable, to be a better service to its community, no matter what its use may or may not be. And that's the study of this program. It's about how to do that, and it's about how to administer that, and about how to participate in all of the different action steps that lead to that process. Does that make some sense? Double thumbs. All right. So today, what we're going to be looking at is really just a overview of this program. So very simply speaking, this is kind of what I'm going to be covering: an introduction, why graduate school, what our program is, what the applications and next steps would be, and if you have any questions. That's what we're doing here. I'll try to be efficient with everybody's time, since you all likely have schoolwork to do and things to do, people to see, business to make, right? Yeah. All right. So Sam Savaskandan, who's the director of recruitment, has put together these slides that is empty for some reason. There you go. All right. So what is a graduate master's program? You may already understand this, but for people who don't really understand master's programs, this is a primer. It's going to help you improve your collaborative communication, problem solving, analytical, and leadership skills. Employers pay more for people with master's degrees than bachelor degrees. You have a higher level of training, more specificity. Your lifetime earnings with a master's degree is much greater than just a bachelor's degree. The data bears that out, and you can begin your master's program immediately after completing your bachelor's degree. If you need to pivot in your career, a master's degree will help you find your next job faster than a bachelor's degree. That may be less applicable for those in the room, since, to my understanding, all of you are currently in undergraduate. Is that correct? Okay. Which is why that came last. So this is just another illustration of what the difference in earnings is for people who earn a master's degree. Again, you have more specific skills. People in essentially employers in the workforce acknowledge that skill set and are willing to pay more for it. So I have a master's degree. It is paid off. I believe it is worth the investment. But the data here identifies, really a different starting salary of about $11,000 from the time when this was developed. This data was gathered. All right, so let's jump in to our program. So our program is 33 credits. So if I'm going to say in undergraduate world, that sounds like 2 semesters. In graduate world, in particular, this program of study, that is likely not 2 semesters, it's likely more. And the reason is our program is for people who are working in the workforce. So all of our students currently are employed in various parts of the industry. So you can go out and get a job and take this coursework while you're working. Almost all of our students have full-time jobs, 2 have part-time jobs. So just something to understand. From my perspective, it's better if you are working in this field while you're getting our degree. It's going to make both, I'm going to say, it creates a better feedback loop for your learning and your progress. First of all, you'll be making money while you're in school as opposed to just paying to go to school. So 33 credits is the total amount. The current curriculum includes 30 core credits. Sorry, actually, that's been changed as of this past week. It is now not 30 core credits. It is 18 core credits, and it is the remainder so you're 6 and 5. So the rest, 15 are electives. 18 core credits, 15 electives. The majority of students complete the program in 5 semesters. So again, that might sound like a long time, but all of our students are working. So if you think about that in kind of working terms, that's about 2 years. And it can be done faster. We have the first wave of graduate students completed their work in 21 months. So that's less than 2 years. But we do have others who, this is a very busy market right now. The conditions are very prime for working. So a lot of our students have gotten new jobs that are paying more. They've gotten pay increases from their current employers. Generally, when you get a pay increase, that means you also have additional responsibilities. So a lot of our current students have had to slow down the speed at which they take the coursework because they're being asked to do more by their employers. Does that make some sense? So our projected track would be take 2 classes a semester. That would be ideal. We have a lot of students who've slowed down and take 1 class a semester, but that would also include summer coursework. When can you start? You can start immediately after completing your bachelor's degree. You can start the program in the fall, spring, or summer. And can you work while pursuing our degree? Yes, everybody in our program is employed. Why this degree? That's just a good question. Well, you're going to do your homework. One, almost every company participates in the real estate market, knowingly or unknowingly. They are either directly in development activities, so that would be architecture, engineering, construction, so that's AEC, that's what that stands for, finance, valuation, legal issues, management companies, property management, etc. There are so many different ways to directly impact development, or you're just a business, let's say you sell shoes, you're generally going to lease or own a property, right? Because you have to have a facility to pursue your business. You are paying somebody for that space, or you're going to purchase that space. So if you think about it, every property that's available kind of on the private market is participating in this ecosystem. So it's a very expansive industry that's almost too big to really isolate in any particular category. Real estate industry employers, they need trained professionals who can conceive, analyze, and manage development projects from start to finish. So that's a broad statement. There are lots of jobs that handle individual action steps within development. I'm an architect. I participate in this industry as a design professional. So I'm touching a project when it's transitioning from kind of idea to reality, right? That's my role. whereas a property manager is entering the picture after the project is completed, and they're overseeing the long-term operations. So the point being, real estate developers generally oversee that long-term progress from conception to analyzation to management, whereas there are separate job categories all within the industry that you could participate in that may or may not see that entire process. Does that make sense? Cool. An MRED significantly increases your earning powers over the lifetime of your career, and it prepares you for leadership careers in the real estate industry and just more broadly. Why this degree? 5 semesters or less is the average graduation time. We have 100% employment, which is phenomenal. We have really developed critical skills. And when I say that, that predominantly has to do with generating, analyzing, and overseeing the financial structure of a deal, but understanding how the different components of design, construction, planning all participate in generating that financial picture and how that financial picture actualizes in real space, real time. This curriculum, again, has shifted from kind of a more core program to a more flexible program, really so that our students can customize their educational experience. That might seem a little foreign to some of you, but for some of our students who've been out in the working world for a while, let's say you take a job as, I don't know, a property manager or leasing agent or something. If you're doing that while you're studying with us, you're already going to be gaining knowledge and insights about a particular category of our curriculum. It's in all of our best interests to expose you to different areas that you may not have access to in your day job, right? I'm an architect, so I know a lot about design, but I might not know a lot about underwriting. Does that make some sense? So our program is built to make sure our curriculum is delivering your educational goals. And we've adjusted the curriculum, like I said, over the past month to do as much. The other thing that's a real big positive in our program is we have a networking kind of group that is built out through leaders in the real estate industry. All of the people participating in our Executive Advisory Council, it's called the EAC, all of those folks are high achievers in the real estate profession. All of their companies have a foothold in Iowa, but we have a cosmopolitan of smaller companies, regional companies, and national companies. So everything from Fortune 500s down to, I'm going to say, more boutique real estate development groups. Again, it depends on everybody's different in terms of what their goals are in their career. Our job is to try and stitch together connections for all of our participants in our program, no matter if they're going to stay here or if they live in Minnesota or Arizona or Texas, where we do have students currently. We have mentors who we pull from that network who work with our students and, again, help provide direct feedback for, let's say, if you're working for a company, maybe this mentor can provide insights on how you can do your job better, or they can give you feedback on maybe how to pivot if you're looking for a different opportunity, or just give you advice at large about how to navigate your own goals and ambitions, frankly, beyond the scope of somebody like me. I'm a program director. I'm looking at it through the lens of your kind of time with us and how you're going to land in the future, as opposed to, I'm going to say, a full-time professional out in the workspace. Maybe they're looking for an employee like you, or maybe they can help connect the dots to something that might be better suited for you. Does that all make sense? All right. Again, I've already outlined this, but these are all of the different types of courses in our program. The ones that are required include the real estate market analysis, real estate finance, sustainable community development, project. Let's see here. Oh, the capstone, which is not listed on this. These are the categories that are available coursework, and we have six courses that are required, kind of that fill inside of these categories. Our faculty understand that our student population are working professionals, so it's a very flexible conversation between you and your faculty. Generally, our coursework is asynchronous. We have a handful of courses that are synchronous, and we have 2 courses that have in-person components. I'll talk about that in a minute. We also have staff, like Emily, who's in the back. Can you wave? Yep, we have staff, and Kim, who's our recruitment director for our program. We have staff who are here to help. We also have career services, which if you haven't already met with for your own current circumstance, please go take advantage of that while you're in school. Once you're out, it's a lot harder to leverage that opportunity. So again, all of our students throughout their term at Iowa State have access to our staff who can help really just make your life easier while you're a working professional and being a student. So a little more to juggle. There are jobs all across, as I've already said this, all across the world in this, but again, if we're just even looking nationally, regionally, or locally, there are so many corners of this industry, whether it's in brokerage, which is transactions, so selling, leasing properties, whether you're a development manager, that means you're overseeing the process of a project going from 0 to 100. You might be in building or property management, property investing, like I said, design professionals, economic development, which are jurisdictional agencies, finance, banking, asset management, generating those financial instruments, or if you're overseeing construction management, or if you're an engineer. All of those people participate in this ecosystem. Over time, the successful people in all of those start to invest their money in the projects they're working on. So if you think about it real simple, all of these people are participants, right? They're using their skills to move a property from its current situation to its highest and best use. And all these people over time, they realize, wait a second, can I put equity into a deal and get more on the back end? That's what everybody's trying to get to, if that makes sense. So our program is here to help you understand, number one, how you, in your particular circumstance, no matter which area you're interested in, how can you start a career in real estate, number one, and number two, how can you move off of that initial career path into a longer term position that suits your, I'm going to say, your investment strategy. That might be hard to think about at your circumstance in your career, but the sooner you start thinking about it, the sooner you can start acting on it. We do have application requirements and next steps. I'll get to some questions and answers here in a bit. It's very simple. We have an online application. You need a resume, a personal statement, contact information for at least 2 references. We would need transcripts. If you are a student at Iowa State currently, that's very easy. If you have coursework elsewhere that transfers in, that's cool too. I think it pulls automatically through Iowa State's system if you're getting an undergraduate degree here. And we do not require a GMAT or GRE. Again, many of our students may have been out of undergrad for, let's say, 5 to 10 years. We don't think it's necessary for them to take a test to come back and study real estate when they already have the experience. So we're keeping it very simple, if that makes any sense. Okay. So what should you do? I don't know in the classroom or in the room right now where you are in your degree study, if you're an underclassman or upperclassman. My best advice to anybody is, number one, talk to people who are in the industry if you're curious. You can talk to me, happy to help. Talk to your own contacts, people in your network. But more broadly, where do you want to be? And start identifying access points you currently have, or look to professional organizations and associations that may be based in Ames, or maybe based in your hometown, or maybe based in, I would say, central Iowa. How can you get access to people who are interested in what you can provide and are wanting to help you? These are things that better position you for the best kind of jobs, but in the end, you are your best advocate. And if you don't present a compelling case to the people you meet, you're gonna have a hard time accelerating and getting to the place you want to go to, regardless of this degree. So my number one advice would be stick to your studies, do as well as you can. Number two, start talking to people who are on the career paths you're interested in. Doesn't mean you have to know, but the sooner you start talking about it, the sooner you can find your space in this very broad industry. And if you're a senior and you're interested in this program, apply. What questions do we have? Yeah. So the Master's in Finance program, I don't represent it. I can't speak to all of its intricacies. Maybe Kim could, but I would compare this in saying this coursework is dedicated to real estate. The lens of real estate is the lens through which the coursework is delivered. Finance is predominantly the numbers and the instruments that service the real estate components, but the coursework in finance is not exclusively focused on real estate development. There's nothing that says you couldn't take both degrees simultaneously. Our program has 33 credits that are required. Since we have 5 electives, if you were to take another degree simultaneously, which could be another master's program, it could be a certificate. There are certificates available at College of Business. If you were to take coursework from another degree, you could apply, correct me if I'm, there you go. So you could probably take all 5 courses, 15 credits from another degree program, and you apply those as electives to our program. I know that doesn't answer your question directly, but the core difference is our curriculum is built for understanding construction, understanding real estate investments, real estate finance, real estate law. It's about how you maneuver through all the complicating factors of taking a property and taking it to its highest and best use. Finance is not looking at that. It's looking at broader business implications of kind of financial methods and analysis and transitions. How you move money through the kind of the larger economic ecosystem. Okay, what other questions? I did not. I have a graduate degree in architecture. No. In looking at the data of our students who've completed our program, the students who've gone through it the quickest, I would say, are the students who know how to be students. That might sound weird, but again, we've had students who've spent 15, 20 years outside of undergraduate, right? They've been working professionals and they've come back. If you think about it, that population has forgotten how to be a student, especially a student in an online situation. All of you have lived through the pandemic, which has really shifted a lot of the educational kind of methods to online circumstance. So all of you are really well positioned to be students. It's very easy to be a student in an predominantly online program. And my comment would be, of the 2 graduates, we have more than 2 graduates, but we had 2 graduates last spring who came directly from undergrad, and they very simple. Like, it was very easy for them because it's something that's comfortable and like, oh, it's very predictable. I know what to do. Like, you're not thinking about how to be a student. You're just focused on the curriculum. Whereas people who are further out from undergrad, they're having a harder learning curve about, I got to figure out what Canvas is. I should figure out how to file, blah, blah, blah. And so I think that the question of burnout is actually less about the student issue, and it's more about, if you are employed, how much time is your employer demanding from you while you're a student? That's been the bigger, I'm going to call it, magnifying glass on burnout. Some of our students have had to pull back to 1 class a semester because we had a student who just had to relocate because his company acquired another company, and they're having to dump a whole bunch of time. And he calls us and says, like, I've got an issue. My employer is demanding more from me. What do we do? Right? And these are the kinds of, I think, those are the kinds of things that generate burnout more so than a curriculum or coursework. Yeah. Yes. So, oh, sure. I could probably type it later. So your question is, what are the differences in coursework relative to duration between fall, spring, and summer? So of our core coursework, and I'm doing this from memory, not off of a slide, our summer coursework that has traditionally been offered has been Real Estate Market Analysis, Finance 576. This class has an in-person component. It has traditionally been 5 days in person. We're working with that instructor to see if we could do more of an online component for the first 4 weeks. or 5 weeks, and then have like 3 days in person. But it has been a condensed schedule. So that class has a condensed schedule. In the fall, our traditional coursework has been a full term. So real estate investments and real estate finance have both been full term lengths. Leadership and conflict resolution, Matt's Management 530, has been a condensed schedule. This year, we offered it from December through middle January. So it could actually kind of straddle semesters. And that had 4 weeks online and 3 days in person. So again, it's a kind of a hybrid situation. And then in the spring, the majority of our coursework has been full term, with the exception of our capstone, which is the final course in our curriculum where you generate your own project. We do site visits. We have guest speakers who talk about a variety of different project types. That has been offered in a 5-day window in person. And since it's right before graduation, you get to walk at graduation at the end. So it's a big celebration. So again, 576, Finance 576 and CRP/Finance 578, those two are hyper condensed. The remainder are, I would say, more traditional term offered coursework. The electives kind of fall into different pools because some coursework offered by College of Business, College of Engineering, College of Design may have shorter offerings, but that's on a course by course basis. And since that's an elective, it's really up to the student. Did I answer your question? What other questions we got? Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess my personal plan.
Yeah. Yep. We could talk more about your situation after this. I would say the following. My advice would be if you can find employment for your skill set, so you have an income stream in general, that's a good thing. Just at large, that's a good thing. It helps you better position for any future investing you want to do in the future. I'm not delivering personal finance recommendations. I'm just saying I think coming straight out of school, it's really good. I also think it's good to develop work habits. Again, real estate is such a broad industry and there's so many different areas. The sooner you can build out, I'm going to call it networks, the better, especially professional networks, no matter what the setting is. So I don't know if you're doing marketing or construction or whatever, insert the blank would be. That network likely will prove fruitful some other day that you can't foresee, because at some point you'll be like, oh, I need to talk to somebody. And I remember that person has some kind of connection to it. So my advice would be start with what you know and who you know. And then once you start to develop a game plan on what you're trying to get to, talk to your current employer about what you're up to. And if it fits for them to support that, great. If not, and you have to go move to another employer, so be it. Like that's the kind of the world of employment. But just more broadly, I think getting work experience is really positive for self-development. Just my own 2 cents. Yeah.
Are there like many engineers?
So currently, no. We did have a construction engineer who just finished or is just finishing, but we've not had a mechanical engineer, at least in terms of technical training and professional licensing. Love one.
Okay. Yeah. So another question kind of leading off of that is like I'm a mechanical engineering major who's graduating in 2 more semesters.
Okay.
And so I was like curious as to what a master's like this could bring to my field.
So I will tell you that the majority, I'm going to make some claims here. I don't have like data behind me, but the majority of developers in our region in the Midwest, and again, this is more of a broad statement, this is generic in a way. Majority of people who move into development directly are brokers because they have access to transactions. They can see the transactions before they transpire, and contractors. Contractors oftentimes control the pricing, or at least have oversight of the pricing. And these two groups tend to migrate into development companies over time. That's not, there's no guarantee. I'm just saying that this is a pattern that you see across the Midwest. The other people who tend to drift into investment and development roles include a lot of times service professionals, meaning engineers, right? Engineers oftentimes can see the project from a unique perspective and oftentimes a technical perspective. So it gives you an advantage if you're in dealing with a project that leans into your specialty. So that, again, this is kind of very specific, but there are several developers who I've encountered who are engineers by trade and have become developers to supplement their own companies. So it becomes an investment vehicle for their own expertise, if you will. Again, I think I had this slide on earlier. People in these industries tend to spot how they're participating in the broader market and over time realize, wait a second, I'm already working on this project. I can see the value in this project as a development. I think it's going to be successful. Do I have the skill sets to analyze and determine if it's a sound investment? And that's when a light bulb goes off and most business owners, or I'm going to call it high-level professionals, start investing in deals. So to answer your question, your mechanical engineering, again, is broad. It's its own thing, and there's lots of different, I'm going to say corners of its own industry, but it depends on where your own expertise might lie. And if you're curious about buildings and sites and projects changing, essentially buildings and environments changing, there is a role for mechanical engineers to participate and over time invest. I don't know if I answered your question, but
Kind of.
okay.
I have an internship lined up.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're the company Shy Battery.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so
they're very involved in the construction industry.
so
Yeah,
that's kind of like
Yeah.
I've always had an interest in it.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of fits along the lines of getting work in the
yes. So again, that the company you've just described is extremely active across multiple sectors of real estate. Some of the, I'm going to call it public work that they do, involves its own processes. The private work that they do has its own processes. This degree is specific to outlining all of the different, I'm going to call it components that participate in the broader movement of a property evolving. And especially, I'm going to call it design build engineering firms, ultimately become investors because they see the entire transition. So I would not be surprised, and I'm not saying this from any point of view of knowledge, I wouldn't be surprised if that company is investing, or at least its owners are investing in a lot of their own projects. It's a natural fit. Yeah, that's not to be like broadcast, but it's just an assumption, and I wouldn't be surprised. And again, the point is, like each one of these have their own moments of participation. There are plenty of, I'm an architect, I know several architects who have found their way into investing because they've realized, wait a second, I can utilize my own skills to participate in a broader return for my company or myself individually. So I think I've kind of touched on it, but the point of this degree is what I'm going to call the full lifespan of a property and all of the different touch points that happen from whatever its current circumstances, whatever its future participation in the market is. And everybody who's in the industry in some way fits in along that timeline. And this program is here to kind of walk everybody through the full stretch of it, and then to dive into particular product or project categories or moments within that process to spotlight how you could understand to move a project through it, or how to leverage your own expertise at your particular moment in that lifespan. No problem. Mm-hmm.
Or has it been pretty like around these kind of?
So the question is, people, 100% of people are employed, and I should clarify, that's both graduates and students. Everybody who's in or has been in our program has a job. And that could include self-employment. We have realtors who are self-employed who are participating in our program. So it's more broad than just graduates. The comment about how people have utilized this degree is specific to each person's circumstance. So remember, we have certain students who are coming back from time in industry. We have other students who are moving through the program out of undergraduate with less working experience. Those populations have different needs and educational goals. So what the degree is doing is unique to each individual. For some, it is developing explicit hard skills, specifically like how do I author financially this deal? For others, it's more about getting experience in, I'm going to say, exposure to construction settings. For others, it's been more about planning. They want to understand how to plan out a project and read plans. Like they have, right? It's like it could be a basic set of hard skills that they're seeking. It could also be networking. Some people have really relied on a program to build out a network. We have, I would say, a pretty healthy percentage of folks who've been brokers. So these are people overseeing transactions of properties. They have utilized this degree to expand their network, both locally and regionally, so that they can get access to more deals. It's very plain and simple. So it might be less about what the degree stands for in that circumstance and more about who they can talk to. For other people, they've utilized their degree to, again, move up within a corporate setting. So if you work for a corporation, sometimes that corporate setting, situation requires an advanced degree for promotion. So we've had students who have taken that and immediately gotten promoted. So that's great. And my point would be, I think it's really a combination of all these factors that our students are looking for. And one of the things that I'm quite proud of is we have several students who have entered our program, started out kind of, I'm going to say, just content with their situation, have met others or mentors, and have found new opportunities inside of our program and have leveraged that into new opportunities, whether it's at their own company or at a different company. And they've been able to expand, kind of, I'm going to say, their own trajectory within that ecosystem. I think that's very telling, because when you're around other people who are in the industry, all of a sudden you get to see new windows that you couldn't detect before. Again, if I had to boil it down, I think that the top things people seek from this degree are access. So who do you get access to? Who are you working with? Hard skills, what skills are you developing in school that you can kind of test out on your own? Or if you have an idea about an investment property that you want to monkey around with, you can use those skills to kind of test it out on your own time. But more broadly, I think people want support as they're moving through it, because it's such a broad industry. And there's lots of different, I'm going to say, salespeople out there saying, come to me, I'll teach you, kind of in the open market. And it gets a little sketchy. Yeah. That's a broad answer. What other questions we got? Yeah. For licensing, no. The program does include course credits, which can serve as continuing education credits if you have a license. This program does not do that. Again, that's about transactions, which is a topic we discussed, but not the core of, that's not the core of this program. I would encourage you, if you're interested in it, to do that. Once you have that license, again, it gives you the ability to participate in transactions at the moment of transaction. Again, it gives you access to things that I don't have access to that. So yes, you can do that right now. I would highly advise you to look at, if you're interested in it, I would advise you to look at it. Again, we can talk about who you might talk to do it, but it's better positioning for how you can participate in this field. So to that point, there are certain topics up here that require a professional license. So brokerage is one, that's brokering and realtors. So those terms are within the state by state, but within the state of Iowa, it's one process. And you can own a brokerage, and there's a bunch of other things tied to that. But the point is, that's a licensed profession. Design, so there are a whole bunch tucked into design, like civil engineering, architecture, landscape architecture, that are licensed professions. Within engineering, Again, there's a whole range of professional engineering requirements. Think of those as the services side of this industry, right? You have to go to a service provider to execute that because it's a licensed and managed, publicly managed institution. All of the other ones may or may not require affiliations, but not licensure. That might sound weird, but like investing. So there's certain kind of affiliations with investing that bring you greater stature, but it's not required for you to participate in the market. Does that make some sense? Yeah. There's a lot of expertise along that string of a project that has to show up. If you go to any project, whether it's a single family home or a big multifamily project or some mixed use downtown Chicago skyrise, think about how many signs show up on a fence. Yeah. For a single project, let's say it's a single family home, you've got the contractor, you may have a design professional, you probably have a civil engineer, you've got a banker, we've got some other kind of transaction, a realtor or a broker. But like, we're already at 5 and we haven't even like jumped into specifics. So once you multiply that out over a skyscraper or mixed use project, you can start to see how many entities and how many different areas of expertise begin to touch that particular, again, investment vehicle. All right, 12:45. Feel like we're at a good spot. I'd rather leave you wanting more than take it on too long. So I'll stop it. If you have any other questions, I'm here to help. I can, I think, answer any of your questions or help provide guidance on anything relating to the real estate, kind of this program or kind of who you might talk to kind of at large to advance your career. Kim is here to help talk to anything about application or things specific to entering our program or what those timelines might be. Emily helps advising in our program. She can talk about what it's like to be a student. She deals with our students very directly. And other professionals, master's professional students as well. So we're here to help. Thanks for attending our info session. Hopefully you all got your freebie. That way you can eat in peace without me talking. And thanks for coming.